when I started doing short stories, for example, and if I had 10 or 12 short stories I was going to do, I didn't write each story and finish each story. What I did was I'd write the first draft of all 10 or 12 stories, and I'd write the second draft of each of them and go third, fourth, whatever it took, five, six, seven, eight drafts. So that when I sat down and I had like a day off, like I'm off today from work, and I had 6 or 7 hours to write, I would go back and I'd spend a half hour in each story, and maybe I'd plump each short story up by 1,500, 1,200, 2,000 words, whatever it might be. Uh, and and the scenes would cross pollinate. Now, with I use that same kind of technique with stuff like this. Um, Sometimes, like in the bigger novels, like I said, a character like Big Frank or the Norwegian blows up out of nowhere in a Norwegian in the family. With here, Dagonet, I knew from the first play that Dagonet was the guy who could deflate a lot of the mythos with his tongue. He wasn't going to be used in the second play because I only had an idea of that, and that was a much more Sturm und Drang play. But then coming back with Guinevere, I said, "Oh, let me let me have him and Guinevere tangle because she's kind of sarcastic and he's got the wit, and he becomes a more important character that way." So uh, I I have ideas, and I'll say, okay, the first play was going to be setting up the mythos and whatnot. Second play is going to be focused on Gawain and male violence. Third play is Guinevere and the famous love stories. Fourth play is going to be the Grail quest, and fifth play is going to be the fall of Camelot, which follows the basic arc of Thomas Mallory and a lot of people who've written about Arthur. But how do you make that different? And you make that different in my case by focusing on the characters. That Camelot falls, that Sir Gawain is restored as the greatest of the knights, that Sir Launcelot and Tristram are reduced to being more caricatures than being the great studly knights that they are. It just happenstance. And I don't know the particulars, but you have these ideas, you write each scene, and then if I'm doing maybe the sixth scene out of 25 in a play, once I've done that 16, I said, oh, I've got to follow up in scene 17 and add a little mention of that. Then when I get to scene 17, I'm writing that down, and something happens to say, oh, I should go back and make a comment in scene 12 that will foreshadow scene 17, or scene 17 in play 2 might be a foreshadowing of what I'm going to come back to in the fourth or the fifth play. So those things you have to be open to let them evolve narratively. I was telling this guy I was speaking with, the fellow that you just recently Skyped with, Joel Parrish, fellow who contacted me. I was telling him that you have to be open. You can't over sketch things.